Hey everyone, Marthello here. I've been asked a bunch of times about my talent builds. Why am I picking certain talents? How come I'm not picking other talents? So I thought I'd make a video to explain my reasoning for picking these talents. One thing to keep in mind too is I wouldn't just copy what I have, use the whole thing exactly how it is. I would suggest everyone try different builds out, try different talents, and see which talent builds work best for you. Something that I may enjoy and I might find really, really good in my keys, you may not enjoy. You may find it's not that great. So just try things out. Having said that, let me talk about my left hand tree first. So left side of the tree here is pretty standard, I would say. The only couple things here that are a little bit different are the right side of the tree when I go all the way down to Gust of Wind. So Gust of Wind is, the good part about Gust of Wind is it gives you pretty short cooldown, only 30 seconds movement ability, gives you a jump forward. This is great for dodging boss mechanics, dodging certain mobs, catching up with your team if you're drinking, stuff like that. It's not going to help you heal, it's not going to help you push higher keys really, but this is just a good talent that's just fun to use and it has some great utility. The downside of this talent though is it does require 2 points in this first, which is not that good. It just gives you pretty much 10% speed to Ghost Wolf. You're not going to really have 3 totems active at all ever, I don't think. So this is not that great, but it's required to get this one. So you are using 3 talents to get to this. But like I said, it is fun to use. So I do use this. This is my fortified, my tyrannical week spec. So on tyrannical weeks, I find this is pretty good. There are a lot of boss mechanics that require you to dodge something or to get out of a range of something. So I find Gust of Wind's pretty helpful versus bosses. And again, I've been asked about Purify Spirit. Why do you pick this on some dungeons that don't have any curses? That is true. Not every dungeon has a curse to be dispelled. But the reason why I picked this is because I don't really like going down this side of the tree to get Focused Insight or Frost Shock. So because I'm not getting these two and I have to go down this way, I end up getting Purify Spirit and Thunderous Paws. So again, this is not that great in every dungeon, but it's required to move down the tree. And then Thunderous Paws, again, is not a huge HPS boost or anything like that, but having a burst of movement speed on a boss fight, like Halls of Valor, like on Odin, until you add that big AoE cast at the end, this is very helpful. There's a lot of bosses in a lot of the dungeons where having this and Gust of Wind is extremely helpful. Left side's pretty standard. I don't think anything here is very unique. I do enjoy having some leech and some damage reduction. I don't get this because, like I said, most of the time you can either dodge the mechanics or you have to blow a cooldown anyways. So I don't pick this. It's definitely by choice though. If you're finding yourself dying a lot to magic effects, or you're finding that you have a lot of magic damage going out and you want to sort of minimize that damage, then this is definitely a valid pick. Everything else here is pretty standard. I don't know if there's really much else that you could swap out. There is another build that you could go is more towards the right hand side and do sort of a totem build. I've seen a lot of people using projection with totemic recall, with like earthen wall totem, and just putting down two earthen wall totems and multiple healing stream totems. I think that build's okay. I haven't tested it personally, but I don't really like putting down a bunch of totems and then resetting them and putting them down again. Again though, if that's something that you may enjoy, try it out, spec into it, run some keys with it, see how it feels. And if you enjoy it, then great. Then you could use that on your keys to help climb. But besides that, this is sort of the left hand side. It's not too crazy. The right hand side, I have been asked about this build quite a lot, so I'm going to talk about this. This focuses mostly on sort of the hot healing with Riptide. So I have Wave Speaker's Blessing, which increases the duration of Riptide by 3 seconds. So this just helps keep Riptides up on the whole team. And not have to refresh it every time or as often. So I do enjoy that. That does help. This is also pretty good, 20% bonus healing to the initial Riptide cast. This is just good for triage healing while you're spamming Riptides on your teammates. Having that big burst when you cast it on somebody is really helpful. And then same with Earth Living Weapons. Not a huge bit of healing. It's a few percent, maybe 5-6% over the course of a dungeon, but it just goes nicely with Riptide, Hot, and then this on the target, just to kind of keep everyone kind of topped off. Same thing with that. I do enjoy Ancestral Awakening. It is getting buffed in the PTR, so this is just another thing where it's not a huge amount of healing. It's probably about 4 to 5, maybe 6% healing as well. So all of these things are very similar in healing, but they all kind of add up over time. And because Shamans do stack a lot of crit, whenever I'm spamming Healing Surge on big boss fights, some healing checks, this does put out a lot of healing, and it helps sort of spread the healing around to the team. Downpour is picked by a lot of people. It's not necessarily a huge healing talent, but it's only 1 point, and the healing is okay. It's just something to help top people off in between pulls. Maybe just like a filler button when you know the cooldown's up or nothing's off cooldown. You can sort of throw this heal out there. Like I said, it's not a huge heal, but for 1 point, it's not that bad. This is pretty much mandatory nowadays due to the fact that Healing Rain with the Acid Rain talent is way overtuned, and it's getting brought down in the next patch. So for now, everyone's running Acid Rain, and if you have the Master of the Elements talent point, it just makes the healing and damage of your Healing Rain, Acid Rain combination do even more healing and damage. So you pretty much have to get this. You get Acid Rain, and then whenever you have Lava Surge up, whenever you cast Lava Burst, you get this, and then you put down Healing Rain, and there's a lot of damage and a lot of healing. So that's pretty standard here. Earthen Wall Totem, I've seen a lot of people pick this, not pick this. What I would say about Earthen Wall is I actually really enjoy Earthen Wall Totem. I think it's a great button to press. I think it does do a fair bit of absorption, especially if a tank's pulling big, and he's being hit by a lot of mobs. You put this down, it can absorb a ton of damage. The problem with Earthen Wall Totem, and the reason why I don't use it ever really, is because normally it's either Sanguine weak, or it's Spiteful weak, or the tank's trying to kite, and the second you put it down, the tank runs out of it anyways, or the DPS runs out for whatever reason. So if you're in a group of people that are all on Discord or somehow sharing comms and you're planning things out, and you got a big pull coming, and you kind of plan to sit in the totem, and maybe pair that with Totemic Recall and kind of do like a double Earthen Wall Totem pull, then great. That's definitely a viable option. But for people that are just pugging keys, I think I was getting like 1 or 2% healing over the course of a dungeon during some weeks, and I just feel like it was a waste of a talent. It's kind of unfortunate because like I said, I do really enjoy this talent, but it just doesn't have the value that other talents do. So that's why I don't pick that. This side's mostly for raids, so there's nothing in here that's really great for Mythic Plus. These are okay for Mythic Plus. P-Wave is really strong, so that's why I do like having this with Torrent to kind of make sure that all my Riptides are out, all my Hots are out, and then when I P-Wave someone, I get the full value of 5 people healing or 4 people healing. This is a very powerful talent. For 1 point, you pretty much should always play this. There's no reason not to. Whether you're topping your team off on a trash pull, or whether you're doing a heavy healing check on a boss, having an instant sort of group heal on 4 or 5 people, very strong. This is great to have. I do get asked about Water Shield and Resurgence a lot, about how come I'm not using any of these mana talents. Again, this is one of those things where I do really enjoy playing Water Shield. I do really enjoy playing Resurgence. I think it's good mana, but on boss weeks, on Tyrannical week, when most of the trash is not that tough to do, so I'm not drinking that much during pulls. I think during the trash, you shouldn't really be drinking that often. Boss fights that are much higher in healing checks, yes, you will burn a lot of mana, but at that point, you can just drink, on the way to the next pack, or do another pack or two and then drink again. I just don't really think that I'm ooming that much during tyrannical weeks. Next patch in the PTR right now, this is going to be baseline for all shamans, so we will be getting some mana that we're not getting now from Water Shield. But like I said, on tyrannical weeks, I don't really find myself running out of mana that often, so that's why I don't pick these. Call Thunder is pretty mandatory. I mean, it's a 35% damage increase on one talent point is massive. So you kind of have to pick this. In the next PTR patch, this is going to be baseline. So this is going to free up a point in the future, but for now, it's just so good not to have. So it's pretty mandatory. Again, this is the rest of it's pretty standard. There's nothing else here that's picked. This is something that people get a lot to, Stormkeeper. Again, if you're in a coordinated group or you just want to boost your damage, this is very strong. For 1 point, you get a big burst of damage to your lightning abilities on big pulls. This is a talent that you can get. I don't run it because I think that Healing Rain plus Acid Rain is good enough for what I'm doing for my pug groups, and there's a lot of healing going out. So I don't really want to spend too much time DPSing because, in a poke situation, people aren't going to get kicks. They're not going to get stuns. There's going to be AoE damage going out. So if you feel that your damage is lacking, or you feel like you have a lot of downtime, then try it out. See if it helps you. See if you enjoy running with this. If you are getting, if you do need some help with healing and some other things, then you could pick points in some of these other talents. But yeah, this is my talents that I play for tyrannical weeks, and so far it's been good. I do want to show my other build that I've been trying out. So this is for explosive week. This is for the fortified weeks. So I've been running my other build doing fortified weeks, and this is when I'm actually ooming pretty frequently. So because of fortified, because the trash all is more health, more damage, the fights last longer, just spamming healing surge, healing wave on packs. I do feel like after 2 packs, I'm at half mana, maybe even less, significantly less mana than on tyrannical weeks. So I have opted for a different build. You'll see here on the right hand side, I do have Water Shield and Resurgence. It does help a lot. It's pretty significant. So if you are ooming fast after a pack or 2 and you feel like you need to help with that area, I would only pick these 2 if you really feel like it's a problem. If you can drink after a few packs, or after a boss fight, then maybe you don't need them. But for me, I felt like I was having an issue, so I am trying these out. I am enjoying it. I did have to give up Blessing, Torrent, and Earth Living. The reason for that is I am going to be giving up some of that spread healing over time, because I'm finding that in the higher keys for Fortified, the mobs actually do a ton of damage to the point where a lot of it's unavoidable, and there's a lot of spread pressure to where throwing out a couple Riptides is not enough to keep the team alive and topped off all the time. So what I'm trying is getting rid of these 2 talents and going for the healing wave build. So I do go High Tide, and I do go Ancestral Reach. If you do High Tide, you pretty much have to get Ancestral Reach just because of the fact that it gives you a nice 8% boost. It's not huge, but it does help you in that situation. Also, it does give you 1 additional bounce, which means that by default, healing Chain Heal only does 3 injured allies plus 1 target, so it's 4. But now that you see here that I have that talent, you'll see it's friendly target plus 4. So I do get 5, the full party covered with Chain Heal. I would not. This doesn't mean that most of my healing is chain healing, because chain heal just by itself is not that great. It's a huge mana cost, it's a slow cast, and because it's reduced by 30% with each jump, after a couple bounces, it's not that great healing anymore. So really, why you play this is for the high tide proc. So when you get this proc, and actually every 100,000 mana, you think it's a lot. It's not that much. I was finding this to be up quite a bit. Even on like every pull, I was having it up 2 or 3 times even. So very strong talent in fortified weeks. And when this is up, you get 2 charges, and makes your chain heal not reduce with each jump. So it does additional healing, but the key here is that it's not reduced by each jump. So that paired with this bonus and another bounce means that you can pretty much get 5-person chain heal for a pretty substantial burst of healing. So I found that this has been going pretty well so far for me when it comes to fortified weeks. Like I said, there's a lot of AoE healing. There's a lot of not only is it a lot of healing, but it's consistently a lot of AoE healing, because the trash packs are not dying that fast. So you have to be able to push out HPS and maintain that. And I think going on a build like this, you do give up some of this hot style, but I think with downpour plus constantly proccing high tide and getting those chain heals out, sort of makes up for the lack of the riptide hots, and so that kind of spread pressure. And with the resurgence and the water shield, I wasn't ooming that much with high tide either. So this has been going pretty well for me. On the left hand side, I know I mentioned before some of the fun talents that I chose, and I am opting to kind of get rid of those fun talents. One of the reasons is because of this week is explosive, and as a healer, especially as a shaman, we have one of the best ways to get rid of explosive is with Frost Shock. It's just one global and 1 orb is gone. So what I do is I actually bind my Earth Shield. If I hover over a friendly target, it's Earth Shield. If I hover over an enemy target, it becomes Frost Shock. So it's very simple to just hover over an orb, Frost Shock it, move to another orb, Frost Shock it, and let my DPS continue to do the damage. So that's something that I have to get. Again, because I did opt for Frost Shock, I could swap out of Improved Purify Spirit and get something else. Maybe go for projection, or maybe a boost to the static charge. I'm not really sure. Again, there's not much else to really pick here. Maybe I could go with Thunderous Paws on some of those dungeons, but for now I do have Improved Purify Spirit still. This is still very strong to get. Same with this one. So you do still want to go down the right side of the tree, but just not get all the way down into here. And then I am opting for Elemental Warding, which is the 4% damage reduction passive. So this is good, especially on fortified weeks, because a lot of dungeons like Ruby Life Pools or Azure Vaults, they have a lot of magic damage, a lot of AoE damage, a lot of pressure happening across the team constantly. And I found that just kind of a 4% passive magic reduction can help with that. It's not a lot, it's not a ton, it's not a massive healing increase or massive damage reduction, but it is passive. So I'm going to try that out. It should reduce some of healing. And kind of go along with that, I have decided to try this out, Elemental Orbit. So this pretty much makes it so that you can put an Earth Shield on yourself as well as a tank. So why is that good? Well, because Earth Shield not only is just the healing on the tank good for just, whenever they get hit, they get healed for a few thousand healing, but it increases your healing on them by 20%. So that's great for the tank. But when you can put it on yourself, that means that whenever you're taking those AoE, pulsating, damaging abilities in these dungeons, or a cast goes off or anything like that, you can heal yourself for 20% more now. So this is just a flat healing increase. Yeah, it is only to yourself, but in those situations where everyone's taking a lot of damage, being able to to cast one or two less casts on yourself because it topped you, and then you can move on to somebody else, can be very beneficial. So besides that, it's all the same. I have opted to swap, like I said, for this Frost Shock for this week. Next week or the following weeks, I'll probably swap back to Thunderous Paws, and then I'll see about this. I think it's going to be pretty good, but I may swap back to something else. Again, I do really enjoy these three points, just because I like getting this ability. Gust of Wind is fun. It has great uses, but I'm just trying to see if maybe there's a better way to push for the higher keys. If you're doing some lower keys, I think, and you're getting caught out in some situations, you're getting caught in some AoE abilities, you're getting stuck in spots where you can't get out of, or you get knocked off certain areas, then it may be worthwhile to try this out. It is fun. It can save you a lot of times, but if you're pushing the higher keys, maybe swap over to something else and see if that'll help you heal. So that's it. That's all I have for this video in terms of my talents. There are a lot of changes coming in for Shamans in the next patch, the next big patch. So I may do a video on what I think about those changes and how that's going to influence the my build, and give everyone some thoughts on that. But I do want to reiterate again that don't just copy my build. Don't just copy what you see online. Try out these talents. Play around with different builds. There's no real one perfect spec or the right way to do it. There's a lot of different options out there, and it really comes down to what you enjoy the most and how you play the game. You may really enjoy the totem build. You may enjoy the healing, the chain heal build. It just sort of depends on how you play and what your play style is. So try them out, play around with it, and see how it goes. Any other questions about my build or talent in general, leave them down below, and I'll respond.